Welcome to Talking Technology with VI Labs. At VI Labs, we believe technology is the single greatest enabler for people with sight loss and all disabilities. If you're looking for the latest news and conversation on tech from a more accessible perspective, you've come to the right place.
Yes, indeed you have. Hello and welcome in to another episode of Talking Technology with VI Labs, episode number 57 for the 14th of May, 2024. Hope you're keeping well. It's been a long time no see. It's only been a week. We usually do these bi-weekly, but hey, you're getting an extra episode today. Lucky you. So we're going to be chatting all things Braille and all that later on in the show. We've got a really exciting show coming up over the next little while, and hopefully we will be able to entertain you because, hey, it is absolutely miserable weather out there. It really is. I'm hoping that it clears up as the day goes on. Hopefully we'll have sunshine and all that wonderful stuff next week. We'll have to wait and see. And I'm also hoping that there's a team upstairs, right? We're in a shared office space here in Cork, and there's a team upstairs. And just before we started to do the podcast, they have started moving tables around in their office, and I'm hoping that they can stay quiet for the next hour to allow us to adequately entertain you and keep you entertained with loads of content around Braille. We have tech news coming up later on as well. We'll have quick picks. We've got a great show coming up for you over the next little while, and we hope you enjoy it. And as always, there are loads of ways to get in touch with Talking Technology with VI Labs, and here are just a few of them. So, if you want to join the conversation, as always, there are a few ways you can do exactly that. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note to 086 199 0011. That's 086 199 0011. Or if you want to do things the old-fashioned way, you can send us an email to content@vi.ie. That's content@vi.ie. We would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. Tell us maybe, how are you using Braille? How do you find using Braille? What was it like maybe learning Braille? We'd love to hear all your thoughts on that. Hey, maybe you want to comment on some of the items in tech news too, or something like that. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. So please don't hesitate to get in touch. That is part of the reason we do this show. We want to hear from you. And guess what? Loads of people have been in touch in the last little while. And to go through some of your voice notes, we are joined once again, he never fails us, by the one and only legend of Kilkenny, Mr. Joe Lonigan. Joe, how are we?
Hi David, how's it going? You're the only one that calls me a legend. Thanks so much.
Listen, do you know what? We'll definitely call you a legend because it's true, Joe. You know?
Well, look, if you say it enough, I'll believe it.
Exactly.
Thanks,
yeah. You know, you just like fake it till you make it, Joe. That's how.
Now you have it. That's the plan.
But Joe is the temporary man, though.
But we don't talk about that fact, Brian.
We'll talk about it next Sunday, Joe.
That's it, Brian. We'll have a deep chat about it on Sunday, and hopefully the best team will win.
Indeed. The taunting has started already, and we're not even 10 minutes in. I love it. Joe, we have a few voice notes in over the last little while, and we're starting off this week with a voice note that we got in from Anya May, who was discussing the really interesting news that came out last week, that Amazon are planning to launch a brand new Amazon.ie site next year. Here's what Anya May had to say.
I'm getting on there with the VI Tech on Tap newsletter, which I received there, was it today? And it gave the WhatsApp number there. So I would be all for an Amazon facility in Ireland that's proposed for 2025. In actual fact, I think it's a great idea, mainly because I'm a huge Amazon buyer, a little bit more than I'd like to be, certainly more than my husband would like me to be. And I do think there would be probably similar kind of outcomes to the English Amazon.uk website, in the sense that delivery by tomorrow, and the same at returns. Plus, it would probably, I would imagine, it would have its own delivery service providing more jobs. But then again, maybe that's just wishful thinking. And anyway, there are my thoughts.
And they are Anya May's thoughts, Joe. What are your thoughts on it? It's a really interesting announcement. I think I'm personally excited for Amazon.ie. I see a lot of advantages for me.
Yeah, it has to have some advantages. Anya is very excited there as well by the looks of it. So, I think it'll be a great opportunity to do some more retail therapy, David, as we say. And look, will it be counted as buying Irish? I'm not sure, but it definitely should create more jobs in Ireland, considering they already have a massive warehouse here in Ireland. And it'll give them the chance and opportunity to amalgamate with some Irish companies and maybe give those Irish companies opportunities to sell more products to their own customers here in Ireland as well. So I think it has to be a good thing, and quicker delivery, as Anya said as well. No one's going to complain about that. Maybe someday same day delivery will start to happen. Who knows?
That would be really nice. It's interesting. Like, I would always have shopped on the Amazon UK site for years, but ever since the wonderful thing that was Brexit, I have found myself more and more using, the German one. But the downside of that is, yes, you're avoiding things like those import fees and stuff like that. But you'll end up, if you're getting anything like electrical, you'll end up with the European style plugs. So I think just having like an Amazon that's dedicated to the Irish market, I think can only be a good thing. And I think it's an exciting one,
Yes, I think so, David. There are a couple of things that I didn't think of immediately. As you will expect by having a .ie website, that Amazon themselves will fix those little issues for you. Customs being one, and electrical sockets being the other, which can be very annoying if you do order something from a different part of the world and thinking you're getting a bargain, but it'll have the different socket and stuff, so you have those issues. I know they're easily sorted out, but the customs thing can be very scary for people at the moment, especially with all those texts you get and letters in the door trying to fraud you, saying it's from customs. And it might make people a little bit more relaxed if they buy from an Irish Amazon website rather than an English or .uk or is it .ge? What's the German one, David? One of those.
DE. Yeah.
DE. Yeah. So DE, buying, it'll save people a lot of headache and make them a bit more relaxed if they're buying off of an Irish website. I think it's a good move, David.
Absolutely. Can't argue with that. Another really interesting topic that's been floating around, and the conversation has been there for a little while, is new smart glasses that are coming from Meta. So Meta, obviously the company that own many social networking kind of apps like Facebook, Instagram, they own Threads, WhatsApp, and they are entering the smart glasses game. But Edvard sent us another voice note. Our biggest fan of talking technology sent us another voice note, and he was discussing some of the AI features that are in the smart glasses and the impacts that they can have on people with sight loss.
Hey guys, I would like to share about a really cool piece of technology that I heard about. So there are these Meta smart glasses. They are basically similar to InVision, but they feature a voice assistant. So you can basically say, hey Meta, look and tell me what you see, and they will describe your surroundings very clearly, just like Be My AI does. Now, I don't know if they are available anywhere in Ireland, but the AI feature, unfortunately, is only available in USA and Canada. But I truly hope that they will be available sometime soon here in Ireland as well. Isn't that incredible? So if you guys want to research, they are called Meta Smart Glasses. So META Smart Glasses.
I think that's so exciting, Joe. There's been a lot of coverage, especially on, some of the international assistive technology podcasts have discussed this a little bit in recent times. What's your take on it, Joe? Would you get a pair of Meta smart glasses, do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'd have to see them on, and I'd have to know if they're out there. I don't look, if they might be a bit too intergalactic for my my own everyday wearing. But look, I think it's a good thing if they actually work and do what they say on the tin. So if Edvard there, for example, asks what's around me, and you look around with your glasses and they give you accurate feedback, that has to be a good thing. But then Edvard did point out the usual issue. Not saying we're all at the last to get technology over here, even though Apple and Amazon and Facebook all plant their amazing businesses in our country, but we still seem to lag a little bit behind the US and Canada and some other places before we get these extra features. I do like the sound of the extra features, but the Meta Quest, is that similar to the one you've been talking about, David, recently? That Meta Quest AI or something like that?
Yeah, the Meta Quest. So yes and no. So same company. They have these. They're more like virtual reality headsets as opposed to glasses. I think the Meta Smart glasses are more like a traditional set of glasses in a similar way to something like Envision, as Edvard said, whereas the Oculus is more like an actual headset. The Meta Quest glasses, are headset, they're more like actual, like full-on headsets, and I found those, I discussed it in the Tech on Tap newsletter, I found those to be really frustrating because there was no way to access it with a screen reader. And I would hope, and from what I've heard, the Meta Smart glasses are somewhat better, but I've never got to try them. I think, for me, I think this is really interesting because it's like, it's a potentially, really interesting assistive technology feature, but integrated into what seems to be a mainstream product. Like if you look at the Envision smart glasses or whatever, they're really cool, but they also cost like $3,000. So, if you can get something like that and pack it into a mainstream device, I think then, in time it will be a win-win. But I think, to your point, Joe, I think the Meta Quest, headsets would make me a little bit nervous about that lack of screen reader functionality and so on. So I guess time will tell. But yeah, it's an interesting one for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, no screen reader to start off with. That is a bad start. But I must say, if it is something like Meta Ray-Bans or something like that you can look normal and they're light on the face and stuff like that, I'm all for it. Until they get usable and, I suppose, into the mainstream, I probably won't purchase them myself. But look, I love hearing about that technology, and if it does work for somebody, and that's really positive. And Edvard, thanks for your comment again this week. If we had any merch like Talking Technology cup or anything, I think Edvard would be the first to get it, David.
So yeah, he's a really passionate supporter. So thank you so much, Edvard. It really does mean a lot. So thank you so much for continuing to share such great information. Really appreciate it. A third person who was in touch, our final voice note for this week, comes in from Norma. And Norma wanted to share her experience of doing a Vision Ireland Braille course.
Hi, how are you doing? My name is Norma. I did the contracted Braille course probably in October, November, before Christmas. And just to let you know, I found it was absolutely brilliant just to learn the basics, what it's all about. And I use it now to confirm, ones and twos and indication and stuff. There is a lot of learning in it, but I have the Braille alphabet done out using that demo that I got. And I stuck those things in the back of my phone. So I'm constantly practicing and reaffirming. But no, I really enjoyed it. It was lovely to get some knowledge of the what the whole system is about. It was really good. Thank you so much.
That is great feedback to get. And I must say, the idea, Joe, of putting like Braille dots on your phone or on a phone case or whatever, I love that idea. because it's such a really cool way to like, because everyone's got the phone in the hand all the time. Like, let's be realistic, and it's a cool way to just practice, isn't it?
Yeah, I love to hear people using little tactile markers and dots and stuff to make things more accessible. Just, it's easy. There's not much technology involved as such. It's an easy solution, maybe that they thought of themselves as well. And once you do things your own way, sometimes your own way is the best way. I remember one time I had, these aren't Braille, but they're almost as small as Braille. When I was learning how to use the iPhone first, probably whenever it came out 10 years ago or so, I put 2 locator dots, one on F and one on J, and locked it in portrait mode, and it helped me learn the keyboard on the iPhone. So dots are Braille dots and things like that are great forms of accessibility, really. Even to put them on, we'll say, little touchscreen devices, like if you've bought an air fryer with a touchscreen on it and you found it wasn't the most accessible, they're little things like that can make things very slightly more accessible and usable. Absolutely. And I'd also like to thank Norma for her comment. It was a lovely comment. I know she enjoyed the Braille course, and we're glad to see that it helped her in a very small way.
Absolutely. I know, you mentioned the Talking Technology merch there earlier on, Joe. I'm thinking now straight away of, like a Talking Technology like Braille edition phone case, with like little Braille dots spelling Talking Technology on the phone case. I have to stop talking now because I'll make poor Colin Kenny very nervous. So
now you're talking, David. Yeah. We'll chat about that later. So absolutely,
yeah, we'll have to get on to Mr. Colin Kenny on that one. But Norma, thank you so much for getting in touch with us, and really, really do appreciate the feedback on the Braille course. It's really great to hear things like that. And we'll be talking more about Braille in just a sec. But if you want to send your comments into Talking Technology, there are multiple ways, as I said, to do so. You can send a voice note for inclusion in a future episode of Talking Technology. The number you need is on WhatsApp. It's 086 199 0011. That's 086 199 0011. Or alternatively, you can send your comments by email to content@vi.ie. Now, moving on to more things in Braille, and specifically Braille in education. Well, we've got a legend. He was here earlier on, taunting Joe over some sports, as one normally does. But he is here, all ready to talk about Braille. It's the legend that I have to be careful because I upset Joe if I call everyone a legend. Mr. Brian Manning, how are you?
Hi, David. And it was lovely there, Norma's comment there. We were looking at it today in the Braille team, and I think that we definitely have direct contact in the Braille team with over 60 people, and most of whom have done either contracted or uncontracted Braille lessons with us, and I've learned Braille with the Braille team. So it was great to hear that that reinforcement really from Norma. It's great. Thank you, Norma.
Yeah, it really is brilliant to hear. And that's a great number, isn't it? Even just to have like 60 people in the last little while doing Braille through the Braille courses at Vision Ireland. It's such a wonderful skill to have. And I it's one of these things. I would love if my own Braille skills were better. So I've talked about it for a while, but like I'm going to have to do one of the Braille courses at some stage to do a little refresher. But there you go. Brian, Braille in education, it's such a big area, but I guess, do you want to kind of outline, there are loads of different benefits to people using something like Braille in education, really, aren't there?
Well, there are, you see, and I mean, Braille is vital for certain people in education. So, for example, that's why there's such a huge emphasis on teaching children who are born blind Braille, because it's a fundamental part of their literacy skills and their numeracy skills. So if you want to learn literacy and you're blind, then as a child you'll have to learn Braille. You'll have to learn Braille for your numeracy. And again, I mean, you different codes of Braille. So, for example, students, blind or vision impaired students learning maths, there's a particular code of Braille that really supports people learning maths for the Leaving Cert or whatever. Or just recently here in Cork, we've had a PhD student who was studying music, and she learned musical Braille. So that just serves as another example as to how Braille can be very, very useful and very functional in a learning environment.
And that's, I guess it's interesting because, like, when you're doing Braille in education, would you find that many people who, you know, grow up learning Braille and using Braille, say, in like a school environment, would they continue to use it as they transition into the workplace?
Very definitely, very definitely. I mean, we're going to be referring back there in a while to a morning we held, a digital Braille morning we held in conjunction with the Disability Support Office in UCC. And I mean, one of their policies up to recently was to teach the vision impaired graduates Braille for no other reason than it helps you in a professional environment. So, for example, if you're giving a presentation or you're speaking at a conference, you know, it's great to have your Braille notes in front of you. So, therefore, it's a great support that way. And again, of course, the whole evolution of digital Braille, which we have to comment on, has been hugely influential in education, in the workplace, and just in the whole area of quality of life. So, for example, you know, when I was a young fellow, and I know I keep harping back to this, but when I was a young fellow in school, even though I was taught Braille by the then social worker here from NCBI at the time, no one else learned Braille, which was a bit of an anomaly, to be honest with you, when it comes to education, because obviously if I was doing homework, then I was doing it in Braille initially, and no one could read the homework. Whereas now the support workers, the resource teachers, the S&As, you know, the parents, it's not necessarily to learn Braille anymore because of the existence of digital Braille technologies that have, you know, displays on them like the Braille set 6 note taker, you know, has a display on it, so the resource teacher or the SNA can just see what the child is writing, or the parent can see what the child is writing in Braille. And again, you have other note takers that can do that, or you have Braille displays which work in conjunction with screen readers. So again, the parent or the support worker or the teacher is looking at what's on the screen while the child works away with, you know, the Braille display and we said the JAWS screen reader or NVDA or their iPad or whatever. So I suppose it's the whole evolution of digital Braille as well has opened so many doors. And the big word here as well is miniaturization. Again, if I can hark back to when I was in school, I can remember I tell the story. I had someone liberated a copy of Yeats' poetry for me in Braille. Now that comprised of about 10 volumes of huge tomes of books. Whereas now, I mean, you know, because of digital Braille, it's all miniaturized. It just comes as a standard document that you convert into Braille for your note taker or for your Braille display. So again, it has in so many ways made the Braille so accessible, and so it has almost mainstream Braille to the extent that, you know, not everyone has to learn it. Once the child knows it and once the child benefits from, you know, the skill set that automatically derives from having Braille, then, you know, the parents and the support staff have the support of the technology to reinforce what the child is doing anyway, which is brilliant as well.
Where do you see like Braille technology moving in the next little while? Like, do you see Braille technology, for example, becoming more accessible in terms of things like cost? Because, like, I think that's one of the big areas where, you know, this comes up all the time when, you know, Braille, especially digital Braille, is getting discussed. You know, we were in a center with Google recently, and it came up in conversation, as it often does, is just the sheer cost of, you know, Braille technologies, be they Braille displays or Braille note takers. Do you see that changing in time, or how do you see that evolving?
It is still very, very prohibitive, the cost of digital Braille. And I was looking at some of the note takers this morning, and the cost of some of the note takers, and you're looking at €6,000-7,000 for your standard Braille note taker that would be, in classrooms around Ireland today, and that's prohibitive. And obviously, that's another reason why Braille perhaps isn't being used as much as outside of education and outside of employment as it could be. Um, I mean, you're asking me, where's the future? I mean, I think in a kind of ironic kind of a way, we have two. We have two futures for Braille. First of all, is the more portable Braille displays that you can have in your pocket, like the 14-cell Braille display, which is, obviously Braille technologies are very much predicated on the amount of cells that they possess. So a 14-cell Braille display should, cost roughly half of a 28-cell Braille display. So therefore, because of it's becoming more portable, it's also becoming more accessible in a cost sense as well. As more portable in your pocket, you can have it connected to your iPhone or your Android. You can read your text messages, you can read your notifications, you can, if you're deafblind, you can communicate in a mainstream environment using that type of digital Braille technology. Again, I mean, then if you're in a workplace and you're very busy, then you can have up to some of these cells, some of these displays can have up to 80 cells in them. And I was looking at one this morning, an 80-cell Braille display, which cost roughly €10,000, which again, I mean, even from an employer's perspective, if you look at the work adaptation grant,
Yeah.
I mean, they would support you in attaining a €10,000 piece of equipment, but the employer and it's prohibitive.
It
so
is,
therefore, the cost of it does need to come down. We are looking at, you had the Orbit Reader, which was a definite attempt to make Braille cheaper, digital Braille displays more cheaper. You have the pen Braille displays, which are, I was looking at the cost of them this morning. They're actually coming in at around €1,000. Unfortunately, some of those seem to have gone off, have stopped. Have gone off the manufacturing line now. There are attempts to make Braille more cost effective, but unfortunately, we're not there yet. I mean, it is important that people are cognizant of the fact that if you're buying any item of digital Braille, then you don't pay tax on it, you don't pay your VAT on it, so automatically you are entitled to 23% back. But again, it is prohibitively costly. And again, just to say, David, I mean, when I mentioned the future of digital Braille display, I spoke first of all about the portability of it. I suppose the second evolution, or the second way forward for digital Braille would be multiple line Braille displays. It would impact on its portability. But right now we're stuck. For example, if you have a Focus 40, which I have here with me, if you have a Focus 40, then you're confined to 40 cells of Braille. Whereas if you had a Focus 40 with 4 or 5 or 7 or 8 different lines of Braille on it, then it just makes your reading experience more coherent. Or if you're a student in a classroom situation and you're doing a mathematical equation or a theorem or something like that, having that many lines of Braille, or if you were a computer programmer, writing a program, that many lines of Braille would make your work experience or your learning experience more fluid. So that is another way forward.
Advantage. Yeah. It's interesting. And out of curiosity, forgive my ignorance here, but does that exist to an extent, like those kind of multi-line Braille displays, or is that an area that still seems a little bit out of reach at this point?
No, you have a huge project going on in Bristol at the moment, where they're creating multi-line Braille displays. Now, at the moment, they're confined to kind of to a note-taker scenario. It's the what's the name of it off the top of me? It's just gone out of my head off the top of my head at the moment. But there are attempts being made to produce these multi-line Braille displays.
Sure.
But yeah, no, it is definitely something that's around the corner. It's not that far away. And the portable set of rail displays, the more portable, they're out there. They're at the moment. They're in everyday use, and they're very good as well.
Awesome stuff. Brian, talk to me a little bit about this Braille event that happened out in UCC. We're going to be hearing in just a minute from Deirdre Maddin, who works out in UCC. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this event? This took place back in February.
It took place back in February, and I suppose we just really wanted to showcase digital Braille from within Vision Ireland. So we decided that we would have a few of these days around the country. And in Cork, in the Cork office, we decided that because we have such close links and well-established connections within UCC, and we've had so many vision impaired students kind of graduate through UCC, that it would be the perfect environment for us to have locate our Braille information day up there, and they were brilliantly welcoming to us, and we had some great Braille note takers with us on the day. Mairead, who you're going to speak to in a while, she was there. We had Will Long, who's a very, very dedicated Braille reader. He was there. You were there yourself, David. We had several graduates from the college who were Braille users there on the day, and we had a lot of students, and we had it was a well-attended day as well, and it was the perfect location. And it was very good. And in actual fact, I'm still getting, resource teachers coming into me for training, the different note takers and SNDs and things like that. Or just last week, we had a query from the parent of a young child who's using a Braille note taker with a few queries. So again, that all emerged from that particular day in UCC in February. I'll think of the name of that multiple Braille display there shortly, and we can have a chat in a while about it again.
I think it's the Canute, is it?
It's the Canute. Yeah, I was thinking of something biblical. Yeah, the Canute. Yeah, that's what
Mairead is on the ball. Fair play, Mairead.
Well done, Mairead. And we were talking about the weather a while ago, Dave. Don't you know that the sun always shines wherever Mairead O'Mahony is?
Oh, well, you see, she's from Kerry, do you know? That's only natural.
She's not. She's from Cork, David. She's from Glenville in Cork.
Fair enough. I stand corrected. Right, we have...
That's just another Cork loss to Kerry. That's all that is.
It's something like that, yeah. It happens too often, Brian. Too often.
Too often.
Alrighty, this is... we are at that Braille event. One of the things we did is we had a few chats from one of the people there was Deirdre Maddin, who helps with outreach at the UCC Disability Support Service. And she spoke at the event and outlined some of the supports that are available to students in UCC. And she started by outlining just some of the statistics of the student base and some of those who are using the service. Here is what Deirdre had to say.
So just to give you an idea, roughly the statistics in UCC, this was taken in, I think, last October. Registered with Disability Support Service, we have 2,009 students. That's gone well up since. I think we're nearly at the 2,200. Some people register a bit late because they have, like, kind of what Lawrence and Jordan were saying, they have the I'm fine, I'm grand syndrome. I'm fine, I'm grand, I'm fine, I don't need support. And sometimes it's only when an assignment comes in or an exam comes in, they go, oh, maybe this is why they were nagging me to come in for support. So do register for supports. And we have 26 students in UCC currently registered who are vision impaired, all of them using some form of technology to make them more independent or to make their tasks a little bit easier. So the support in disability, with the disability service, once a student has accepted their place in UCC, it's essential that they register with the service because we're not telepathic. We don't wander across college to the 25,000 students going, are you okay? Are you all right? Do you need a hand? So it's very important that they register with us. And then they can meet with a disability advisor for a one-to-one needs assessment where they look at that student's strengths, what it is they have found difficult on their academic journey coming up through school, what supports have been effective, technological or otherwise, and trying and build on those supports. and then the nature of the course that they're doing, and whether they're swanning off for a year to Strasbourg, or whether they're involved in lab work, or whether they're in film studies, or whether they're doing English, Celtic civilization and history. It depends on the student, the course and the year that they're doing it. And that needs assessment then will determine the supports to be put in place tailored to that student's needs. So this is not a buffet of supports. I'll have 2 of those and 4 of those. These supports are determined based on the needs assessment, but some examples of those supports could be an academic support where lecturers record their lectures in Panopto, sharing of learning materials through things like Bookshare and obviously on Canvas, and linking with the academic departments. Technological support, so they could be involved, it could be anything from hardware or specialised software. Personal support, so Lawrence mentioned this, mobility and orientation training that we do, correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, with Vision Ireland, to make sure that students are familiar with their way around the campus to their various different locations, and accessibility on campus, and exam supports that Jordan spoke of, the use of technology in the exams, maybe extra time at a separate centre, maybe not having to go as far as Neptune or the Dean Rocks. The exam centres are kind of spread out far and wide at the moment. So my job is to reach out to students before they come into UCC, and that's our assistive technology outreach programme that myself and Linda are currently reviewing. But my job is to increase awareness of AT for students who are vision impaired, deaf or hard of hearing, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dysgraphia, physical disabilities, and to provide that training as well. And just to let you know, we have upcoming Easter and summer workshops for students in primary and in secondary schools who are vision impaired to come in and have a bit of crack on campus, see how accessible campus is. They will meet with staff from disability support to find out what the supports are like. They will get to meet students who have similar disabilities to them. We'll have a day for students who are vision impaired, a day for students who are deaf or hard of hearing, and a day for students who've got physical disabilities. And we've done everything from workshops with the Confucius department where we did Chinese, to we did drumming workshops, to we did forensic science workshops, and we always end up down in the arena after lunch as well. Just to get students thinking UCC could be an option for you, why wouldn't you entertain it? But for all students across all colleges in UCC, the learning materials are shared online on Canvas, so there's no longer the scribbling the notes off the board. That's a game changer, and that's what I nag teachers about a lot. There's Census Access is a facility in the library where if you want reading material in whatever format suits you, whether you need the format of it changed to a sound file or to Braille, you can send your document or the link to the document or a photograph of the document to Census Access and ask for it back in a sound file translated to Italian, read by this voice at this pace, or in a Braille. And it's not being used anything like as it should be, and goodness knows we've paid enough for it. So it's about getting your reading in a format that suits the individual reader. We've got Scan and Deliver from a library where you can get a certain proportion of a book scanned and delivered to you digitally. And every single UCC student has access to Office 365, where Immersive Reader, with a lot of its reading support, speech to text, text to speech tools, are available to every one of the 25,000 students that are in UCC. And again, because we believe that this technology, while we're talking about getting it tailored for people who've got very specific needs, we think that this can increase access for all, and we want that universal design principle rolled out.
There's so much in that, and great value in all of that stuff. I think it's so interesting because, there are often times, I think, when a visually impaired student is going to a college and stuff like that, it's always a consideration of what kind of supports are going to be there. And it seems like UCC, for their part at least, are really paying attention to this. And it seems like that's increasingly the case with more and more colleges. Brian, I did want to ask you there, we heard Deirdre saying that, they have approximately 25,000 students, of which about 26 are visually impaired or blind. What are the struggles that can face visually impaired people when they want to go to college? What are those kind of roadblocks that people tend to come across?
Just a quick story before I answer that question. And that is, it's almost 30 years ago. I was working at the time for the Cork Institute of Technology, but it's since become the Munster Technology University. But at the time, there was a major drive on from within UCC, UCG, and the CIT at the time to make sure that the supports in place were good and were up to the standard for vision impaired people. So they sent three of us off. They sent me, they sent the assistive technology trainer from UCC at the time, Liz, and then the lady from UCG. And the three of us went to the north of England, to Hull University, to Leeds University, to various universities around the north of England to see the supports that were in place or in situ at the time. Now, this is 30 years ago, over 30 years ago. And what we found after day one, particularly in day two, we were really, really conscious of it by the time it got to day three, that they were actually borrowing from us. They were taking from the supports that we had that we had installed in the colleges that we came from. Our supports were better than anything that was available in Britain. So sometimes we have a tendency in Ireland to kind of maybe be a bit too hard on ourselves. Like that was just an example as to where, the models of practice were excellent. And that was 30 years ago in UCC, in CIT, and in UCG at the time. Now, what I would say to you is if you are a vision impaired student and you have the ability and you have the motivation and the desire to go to third level, then the supports are there. I mean, you will meet barriers, but everyone meets barriers on their entrance to the third level education. But like the barriers that you meet should not necessarily be barriers that would stop you. The supports are there. All of the materials are available. The technologies are available. The technologies are being provided for the students, and the systems are in place to ensure that those barriers are not insurmountable. So you can go to third level education. And like again, anecdotally, like I have nieces and nephews now who have been through third level, who've been through UCC, and I'm just holding UCC as the example because that was where we were that particular day. And anecdotally, they will tell you like the amount of people with guide dogs that you'd see on campus every day, or the amount of white cane users that they'd encounter on an everyday basis around campus. It's a lot, and it's notable. So those people, like vision impaired people, have a presence on the ground in UCC and CIT. And again, these supports, just while we're here, these supports are also available in a lot of the post-leaving cert colleges. So, for example, my experience now in the Cork Kerry region, I mean, like there are access officers in, the College of Commerce, the Skull Stefan Nefa, St. John of God's College, in the community colleges in Tralee. So it's not even the universities. And that kind of manifestation of third level, they're available as well. Those supports are available as well. And they're being supported by the HEA, the Higher Education Authority, at post-leaving cert level as well. So, while it's good to flag the universities, I think it's also important to recognise the great work being done at the post-leaving cert colleges as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting. And we're seeing a lot, like even in the Cork Kerry region, that a lot of those, PLC colleges, I think they call them, they're starting to consolidate and merge a bit now. So like St. John's, Stefan Nefa, all those, they've all folded now into, I think they call it the Cork College of FET, or Further Education and Training, they call them now. But I guess my point is with that, I guess in time as well, we're going to see awareness of accessibility spread among these different institutions, and that can only be a good thing. And to those supports that like Deirdre was mentioning in UCC, like just the ability to have like documents, to share documents and have them converted into accessible formats, or formats that suit a particular user, I think that's brilliant. Just little support.
What's very notable in UCC as well, and again, I mean that would be the main college that I would have experience of, even though I've worked in the various other colleges as well. But what really impresses me is the array of disciplines that blind and vision impaired people have studied at third level in general, but UCC in particular, because we've supported from the NCBI, the Vision Ireland office in Cork, and in conjunction with the Disability Support Service in UCC, we support people who studied right across from law to arts to the sciences to business, to commerce, to the languages. So, I mean, we've graduates in almost all of the disciplines at this stage that are available in the different colleges in the area, but in UCC in particular. And that is quite impressive as well. That, like, it's very important that when you get to UCC, you're not restricted. Maybe 20 or 30 years ago, it was seen, okay, yeah, go to UCC and study arts, because that's accessible and it's just to do with reading material, and that doesn't exist anymore. That barrier doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
The ethos essentially is you want to study, come to college. What do you want to study, and we'll support you. Which again is it's very important to get that point across as well. That you're not just are you not limited from the college, but when you get in, when you overcome the barrier, whatever barriers do exist, when you get across into that through the college gate, then you're not restricted in there either, which is important.
And how much of a role does Braille play in that?
Braille, again, as I said, plays a very, very important role. I gave the example there of a PhD student who learned musical Braille. Again, I mean, a lot of the people we've had science graduates coming through college. We've had computer programmers coming through college, and if you're coding, then Braille can be very important, and it can be an excellent medium through which to do your coding. So if you're studying maths, if you're doing your notes and etc., then Braille can be very, very important. And the fact that you have the digital Braille devices at your fingertips kind of makes it easier. It miniaturizes it. I gave the example a while ago of art students. Now, art students, you can still use your screen reader, obviously, but I mean, digital Braille miniaturizes Braille to the extent that it's on your pen drive or it's in a BRF file. So therefore you just download it. It's on your iPad. It's on your laptop. You're not carrying huge tomes around with you. So that's just another example as to how Braille as a medium has opened up the whole area of study and work for blind or vision impaired people.
Awesome. Brian, thank you so much for chatting to us about all things Braille and specifically Braille in education. I think that there's massive value in it. So thank you so much for that. And if people do want to...
Conscious that you're going to go over to Mairead now.
Oh, sorry, Brian, go for it. Yeah.
Mairead is an example of someone that learned Braille through school. And even though I learned Braille when I was in school, I'd still prefer to sit down and listen to an audible book. But the experience or the preferred experience of a lot of people who had their education through Braille, they'd like to continue. I'm sure if Braille was reading some fiction tonight, she probably would prefer to use Braille than an audible book. I'd be just interested in her opinion on that.
Mairead, before we move on, what would your thoughts be on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you've learned Braille from the very beginning, if you started growing up with it, it's your main reading and writing. I mean, I didn't start learning. I think my first interaction with the computer was when I was about 9 or 10, and that was using HAL. And I mean, I started learning Braille at the age of 7. I actually found the computer kind of tricky to get used to at the time because I was so used to the Braille, but definitely going back to the point, if I was to read any book, I much prefer to physically read it rather than listen to it being read by a computer or from Audible or whatever, even though I do enjoy Audible because of the quick access of books and things. And I guess they're not robotic voices. They're real people reading the books. So it is good in that sense. But whenever I do have the option to read a book physically, I'd much prefer it, or any kind of material physically, because it just sinks in better. I can learn it better. Points from it stick out in my head as well, so I can just retain the information much easier.
That's really interesting. There you go. Brian, thank you so much for chatting to us about all that. Really do appreciate it. And of course, if people do want to share their thoughts on Braille, by all means, I'd love for people to get in touch with us on this, especially students. If there are students, whether you're in UCC or any of the colleges, maybe UCD, Trinity, any of those, please do get in touch with us. We'd love to hear your experiences of that whole system. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note, of course, to 086 199 0011, or just send us an email to content@vi.ie. It's a conversation I don't think we have that often, but it's one with great value. Whether that be using Braille or just the accessibility of student life in general, because there's so much to student life, and it's an important part of people's lives as they get ready to enter things like the workforce and so on. But Brian, thank you so much for sharing that, and we'll have you back on for our next Braille podcast, no doubt. You become the infamous Braille legend. So thank you for that. So coming up next on Talking Technology, we're going to jump over to Mairead, because Mairead has a really cool app to talk to us about today. And this is a tool that can really help you in using Braille. Mairead, firstly, welcome back to Talking Technology.
Thanks.
You were only here last week covering the Apple event. So you're becoming a regular, slowly but surely.
Yep.
Mairead, do you want to tell us a little bit about this Braille app, Bump Braille Learn? Do you want to tell us a bit about this?
Perfect. Okay, so that is the name of the app. And what this app actually does, it's really good. So especially if you're on a Braille learning class, if you're learning, we'll say uncontracted Braille, it's really good for that to use as a reference resource as well, once, in conjunction with the other material that you have in the class. So what it actually does is it's unfortunately it's only available for iOS devices at the moment. It is a free app, which is good. What it has is an alphabet kind of a cheat sheet, which that part of it doesn't really work great with the voiceover because it gets stuck in that. But what it does have then is it has another area that's Learn Braille. So you can pick, when you go into the Learn Braille section, you can pick what you want. So you have options like the alphabet or contractions. So you can pick, we'll say, the alphabet, and it'll actually tell you there and then, the voiceover will tell you, so it'll say A.1, B.1.2. So it'll go all the way like that, which is really good. And then what it has at the end of that then is you have options where you can take a quiz, which is really good because it's a fun way of learning too, and it's interactive. So we'll say the voiceover, the only thing about it is you have to swipe over. So we'll say when you say take quiz, you have to swipe over to here. It'll say S, we'll say, for example, the letter S, and it'll give you 4 options. So like .1 and 2, .1 and 4, .1 and 5, .2, 3 and 4. Then you double tap on the correct answer. And depending on if you have a correct or incorrect, you'll hear a different sounding audible tone, which is actually really good. And it'll also give you your score at the end then as well. The only thing about it I would say is when you go on to the next option. So once you have the first one answered correctly or incorrectly, if you have it incorrectly, you have to get it correct before it'll let you move on. So that's one thing I would say about that. And it automatically goes on to the next letter then. So it might ask you, like, what's the letter U? And it'll give you a random selection of dots. So I guess I would love, all right, if it went, when it goes on to the next letter, I would love if it had self-voicing, that it would just automatically say U when you go on to the next one. Because you have to swipe to hear what VoiceOver says to see what it's saying to you there. But it is actually a really good, fun way of learning it. It also does a few contractions as well, which, is good as well. So, like, what I do like about it is it does give you the dots that make up everything. At the beginning of the app as well, it also describes, the Braille cells and things. So it describes that what a Braille cell is, that it's one dot. that you have 6 Braille cells and each letter is made up of a combination of those dots. So it does actually describe that, and it does have interactive pictures as well for anyone that has some level of vision. That's good. It does explain the Perkins Brailler as well and the layout of it, and I think it gives an image of it as well, which, you know, I suppose that is useful for somebody who has some vision as well. So it is a really good kind of fun way of learning. And I suppose for anyone who wants to progress on then once they have grade 1 Braille learned, there's another app that you can use called Braille Contraction Lookup. And that's a really good app as well. Now, I suppose the only disappointment about that one really is it doesn't tell you. So like I might say you have a search function in it. So I could type in something like today and press the search button, and VoiceOver will read out and it will show up on your Braille display. The only thing about this is you really do have to use this app while it's connected to a Braille display, because the result will show up on your Braille display then. It'll show up as TD for today, or if you did a search for tomorrow, it'll show up as TM for tomorrow. And VoiceOver will read that out as well, but that app does work better if you're connected to a Braille display, all right.
That's really fascinating. I did not know those contractions, but there you go. You learn something new every day. I'm proud to say that I did know that S was 2, 3, and 4, but I did not know what U was, I must say. You'll have to tell me what U is after, but there you go. Will we listen to, because I think there's a real value and you described it really well there. Will we have a listen to Bump Braille just to see how it works, and people can have a listen and tell us what they think. So
Perfect.
This is a demo of how the app that Mairead was describing sounds. So the app that Mairead is talking about is called Bump Braille Learn, a really cool name. It's available for free on the App Store, and I've got it installed on my phone here. So let's just open it and see how it works.
Bump Braille Learn. Welcome to Bump Braille. You are in the right place to learn Braille.
Awesome, good to know.
Learn Braille button.
So I can learn Braille. That's kind of like a course thing. You can just go through and learn using like a course, like a guided course, which is really cool.
Braille alphabet sheet button.
There's the Braille alphabet sheet, a nice little reference tool there.
Take quiz button.
And there's a take quiz button. I will try that in a minute. I want to try and redeem myself because I must say, I used to be able to do grade 2 Braille once upon a time, but my skills now they're definitely not what they used to be. I'll say that. I guess technology, I ran away with the technology I did. So look, let's we'll come back to that in a second, but let's try the little course section first. So we'll go to Learn Braille.
Learn Braille button.
Learn Braille.
Select a lesson of your choice. It's grade 1 Braille lesson button.
And there's a grade 1 Braille lesson here.
A Braille cell contains 2 columns, and 3 rows in each columns. A total of 6 cells. Feels like 3 vertical dots next to 3 more vertical dots. Image. A group
Fair enough. So that's an image, presumably of a Braille cell.
Welcome to your lesson. This is the basics of Braille, also called grade 1 Braille.
Brilliant.
Shown above is what is called a full Braille cell, which consists of dots 1 through 6.
And there you go. So you can go through this course at your own pace, and there are next and previous buttons here as well.
Next button.
So there's a next button there.
Previous button.
And a previous button. So you can navigate through this at your own pace, and you can jump in and just, practice the Braille. And this is going to be great if you do one of the Braille courses, with the team, maybe in Vision Ireland. This is a great way to go back and study up maybe ahead of the next lesson. Really cool. So I'm going to jump back because I want to try out the quiz, try and redeem myself.
Welcome to Bump Braille. You are in the right place to learn Braille.
Brilliant.
Learn Braille, Braille alphabet sheet button. Take quiz button.
And take quiz. Okay, let's see how I do here.
Select a quiz of your choice.
Grant.
Take the basic alphabet quiz button.
Take the basic alphabet quiz. Okay, look, I used to be able to do grade 2. I definitely can't do it anymore, but I'm going to try and do okay with the alphabet quiz. Let's see how I get on here.
Home button. Which choice represents letter P?
Letter P. Okay, letter P. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think.
Dots 1, 3, 5, and 6 button.
Okay, it doesn't sound right.
Dots 1, 2, and 3 button.
That I think is L.
Dots 1 and 2 button.
Okay, that's B. Yes, that's B.
Dots 1, 2, 3, and 4 button.
Okay, I think I'm confident enough that that's P.
Dot 1.
Yes, let's go. Okay, right, next one. Let's see how we get on here.
Which choice represents letter K?
Letter K. Okay, this one I don't know.
Dots 1, 2, and 3 button.
Again, I think that's L.
Dots 1 and 3 button.
That could be K.
Dots 1, 3, 5, and 6 button.
1, 3, 5, and 6. I don't think that's K.
Dot 1 button.
And that's A, obviously.
Dots 1 and 3 button.
Okay, I think this is best bet.
Dots 1, 2, and 3.
Go on me. Look at me go. I feel confident now. All right, let's see how we go here.
Which choice represents letter O?
Letter O. Oh, that's a dose of one.
Dots 2, 4, and 5 button.
2, 4, 5. Yeah, not sure.
Dots 1, 2, and 3 button.
No, I don't think so.
Dots 2 and 4 button.
2 and 4. I used to always mix up E and I. I don't know which one of them that is.
Dots 1, 3, and 5 button.
1, 3, and 5. Okay, I don't think that's O. Okay, so I'm guessing it's the first one here.
Dots 2, 4, and 5 button.
All right, let's go for it.
Dots 2, 4, and 5.
Oh, sugar. Okay, need to try again. Well, I'm pretty confident that there's an L and either an E or an I here, so it must be the one here, the 1,
Dots
3.
1, 3, and 5.
1, 3, 5. All right, there we go.
Dots 2, 3, 4,
there
and
we
5.
go. Awesome. Look, you can go through this, and I'm sure it gives you like a score and stuff at the end. I'm not going to spend all day at this, but it is really cool and a great way to practice your Braille. I think, it goes without saying that, if you do want to be proficient, I think, you do have to actually read it. It's well and good to know it in theory. I think reading it is a very different skill. But with that said, I think this is really, really cool and a great way to get some practice in. So, yeah, very impressive app and it's free. So, hey, you can't beat that. I think Mairead, bless her, she's going to be disgusted at my Braille skills. Mairead, I apologise in advance. You will have to confirm. Was I right at least with 1, 2, and 3 being L? Is that correct?
That's correct, yep.
Okay, at least I was right on some of the ones that it wasn't asking me for. But
and you were right with the 2 and 4, that was I.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know whether it was E or I. I used to always mix that up when I was doing it before. Yeah, there was a few. I used all of those ones with 3 dots, the D's and F's and all that. They would confuse me. But there you go. Anyway, listen, Mairead, thank you so much for telling us about those apps. Do you want to just tell us the names again and where they're available?
Yeah, so Bump Bump Braille Learn, that's a free app, and that's available for iOS devices on the Apple App Store. And the Braille Contraction Lookup is for the contracted Braille, and that is 99 cents, and it's available on the iTunes and Android store, as it's available for both devices.
Fantastic.
And you do get your score at the end of the quizzes as well, which is good.
I just wasn't good enough to complete it. Yeah.
You get the scores at the end, so that's good.
Awesome. Mairead, thank you so much.
There's a good few questions in the quiz, so it keeps it going for a bit.
Does it? Okay, fair enough. Mairead, thank you so much. Really enjoyed that, and I think it's a brilliant little app that I hadn't heard of before, but thoroughly enjoyed playing around with it this morning. So thank you so much for that. And if you have thoughts on any Braille apps, Braille devices, anything at all like that, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. Now, we'll be moving on to our Talking Technology news with JP in just a second. But before we do, just to let you know that this week is Global Accessibility Awareness Day. It's coming up on Thursday. And we were talking about the colleges earlier, some of the colleges are holding events for Global Accessibility Awareness Day. And one of those is UL, University of Limerick. They are holding some events tomorrow. That's Wednesday, covering all sorts of things like assistive technology. I see digital accessibility there. There's accessibility of different industries. They've got loads of events coming up. And Dennis Nolan and Peter from the Vision Ireland team are going to be there to show off all sorts of really cool assistive technologies, chat to service users, all that and more. So if you want more information about the events in UL tomorrow, you can go to the website ul.ie and be sure to check out the Vision Ireland social media for more as well. And if you see some of the guys from VI Labs or Vision Ireland, hey, be sure to pop over and say hi. They would absolutely love to meet you and chat to you about all those kind of things. And hey, be sure to tell them that you heard about it on the Talking Technology podcast. So there you go. Alrighty, it is Talking Technology news time. Let's head over to JP, shall we?
This is Talking Technology News.
With your latest Talking Technology news, I am JP Corcoran. As we discussed in last week's show, Apple held an online event announcing the launch of 2 new iPads as well as a number of upgraded accessories. However, one of the clips used in the event has been proving controversial after it upset many creatives and artists. When announcing the new iPad Pro, Apple showed an ad in which a number of objects got crushed, including musical instruments, books, emojis, paint cans, and more. At the end of the ad, the hydraulic press lifts up to reveal the new iPad Pro, suggesting that the new iPad Pro is all of these things crushed into one package. Some artists, however, criticized the ad, feeling that it symbolized human creativity being crushed and replaced by the new device. Apple eventually apologized, agreeing not to run the ad on television as previously planned. It's an interesting story and many people were definitely upset. Be sure to tell us how you feel with a WhatsApp voice note. In other news, Apple isn't the only company upsetting customers this week. Speaker manufacturer Sonos are also at it after they released a new version of the Sonos app, which is seemingly universally hated. The Sonos S2 app is being slated for many reasons, but one issue of note is the app's accessibility or lack thereof. The new app has many accessibility issues, and some are calling it a disaster. Things are so bad that a number of senior leaders from the company are set to answer community questions in a 3-hour Ask Me Anything session this evening. Many are upset, and some are making very passionate arguments. Jonathan Mosen, who has spoken out on many accessibility issues like this in the past, has said, "They need to understand the best way to make us go away is to fix what they broke. We won't be quiet until we get back what they took from us." Hopefully, Sonos will fix the issues in their app, both for blind users and for everyone. There are many visually impaired people who love Sonos products, including some staff here at Vision Ireland, and this news won't do the company's reputation any good. Finally, for now, let's have at least one story that isn't too depressing. Amazon is set to launch Amazon.ie next year, providing a better service to Irish customers. The new Irish website will offer cheaper prices, faster delivery, and more products from Irish businesses. Traditionally, Irish customers would order from either the British or Germany, version of the Amazon store, but soon we will have an Irish version with a more tailored experience. The move has been widely welcomed. However, some stores have expressed concerns that they will struggle to compete. Amazon has been hugely successful all over the world and arguably are hugely successful in the Irish market already. But time will tell if the Irish site can add to that success. And that's it for now. If you would like stories like this one and more like these and more, be sure to check out our Tech on Tap newsletter and share your thoughts on our stories with our WhatsApp voice note to 086 199 0011. For now, though, it's back to you, David.
Thanks so much, JP. Yeah, some really interesting stories there. You saw that Apple event. Do you think it deserves the controversy?
I don't know if it does, David. Watch this Apple ad with you at the Apple product event last Tuesday. And for me, as I was watching it, I didn't see a whole lot wrong with it at the time, if I'm really honest. To recap on what it showed, essentially it's a 1 minute and 8 second video ad featuring a whole lot of equipment of instruments, of creative tools, like there's guitars, there's a piano, a drum kit, paint cans. They're all being destroyed by an industrial crusher. As we mentioned in the news, the crusher then reveals a newly unveiled iPad Pro along with a voice that announces the most powerful iPad is also the thinnest. So the ad has been taken down, and I was reading about the controversy to do with the ad in the papers over the weekend. It kind of surprised me, David, because I didn't actually expect it as I was watching the ad last week with yourself and the rest of the team. And online commentators were criticizing the video by saying things like it's insensitive, that it's an unwelcome departure from the company's historic position of its brand, and it's nonconformist, human-friendly. And it said that it was also it was promoting, I suppose, anti-creativity, and that it was against Apple's, I suppose, principles. We even had some famous celebrities getting involved in the conversation. So I came across on X, there was the actor Hugh Grant, who said the ad showed the destruction of the human experience courtesy of Silicon Valley. So they're pretty strong words.
Strong words, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
It's interesting.
Personally, David, yeah, like I don't expect that Apple intended to go out and cause any offense with their animation in this instance. I think they are more making the point that this is a hugely powerful iPad Pro with the M4 chip. Has some significant performance improvements and features. I like my movies, David, and it reminded me of a movie that came out several years ago that perhaps yourself and some of our listeners might remember. It's the Back to the Future movie with Marty McFly, who was played by Michael J. Fox. Yep. And there's a scene in this movie towards the end where he gets his electric guitar and he bashes it off the stage, and everyone is just looking at him in shock, saying, "What's he just done?" And he turns around to the audience and goes, "Well, maybe you guys aren't quite ready for this yet." And I'm kind of thinking, is there some parallels here with this ad? Maybe if this ad is played in a year's due time, we would see nothing wrong with it. Maybe it's just the time that we're in with the advent of AI and machine learning, that it's just in everyone's minds. But for me, as I say, there's no such thing as bad publicity. The ad might be taken down, but I don't think it's going to do any harm for iPad sales with Apple.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. I think my first thing I noticed when I saw the ad, and we watched it as a group because we were doing it for the podcast last week. My first comment, I think, when I saw it was simply that, wow, that must have been expensive, that whole whole thing to animate or produce. Yeah. I can understand the controversy. I feel like I'm happy that Apple apologized. I don't think it was their intention, though, to upset people. But, intention is one thing and the outcome is a different thing. And I think the outcome clearly did upset people. People are clearly passionate about it. So I think Apple made the best call they could in apologizing, which is something at least. But
I think
it's
they
an interesting one.
Yeah. I see there was comments from an Apple spokesman that our goal is to always celebrate the myriad of ways users express themselves and bring their ideas to life through iPad. And they went on to say, we missed the mark with this video and we're sorry. So they did come out and that they apologized, took the ad down. If you were to ask the question, like, would it stop those who are interested in purchasing a new iPad Air, iPad Air Pro on the back of this ad, I'd be hesitant to say that someone is not going to person. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to have that effect. But yeah, I have to say, I think Apple, at least they dealt with the situation quite well, taking the ad down and apologised for any I suppose harm that could have been caused. So as I say, no such thing as bad press. So I think could work in Apple's favour.
There you go. There is one other thing I do want to get your thoughts on before we move on. And I do want to ask Mairead about one or two of the other stories there in just a bit. But yesterday, OpenAI announced GPT-4o, the latest version of their GPT chatbot. And it's going to have some interesting new features. And one of those features is going to be the ability to basically, it seems like, have a video chat with it, and you can hold the camera like around and show it different things and be able to discuss these items with it. And I want to play you a clip and just get your initial thoughts on it. I haven't got to try this yet, but I'm really excited to do so, and I think you'll understand why once you hear this clip. But have a listen to this.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey there. It's going great. How about you? I see you're rocking an OpenAI hoodie. Nice choice. What's up with that ceiling, though? Are you in a cool industry-style office or something?
Well, can you take a guess at what I might be doing based on what I'm showing you here?
From what I can see, it looks like you're in some kind of recording or production setup. With those lights, tripods, and possibly a mic, it seems like you might be gearing up to shoot a video or maybe even a live stream.
Yeah. In fact, we've got a new announcement to make.
That's exciting. Announcements are always a big deal. Judging by the setup, it looks like it's going to be quite the professional production. Is this announcement related to OpenAI, perhaps?
It is. And in fact, what if I were to say that you're related to the announcement, or that you are the announcement?
Me? The announcement is about me?
Isn't that, firstly, can we just comment on the voice of that AI? Is that not wild or what?
It's impressive, yeah.
Isn't that mental? But yeah,
the voices are incredibly realistic, authentic, aren't they?
It's I've never heard an artificial voice that expressive. That's kind of wild. But what could this kind of technology, and as I say, haven't got to try it yet. This is a relatively new announcement. This was only announced just yesterday. But do you think, what will this mean for, is this the next step up for something like Be My AI, these kind of video conversations?
That's what I'd be thinking, Dave. That's two things that struck me from that clip was first of all, the voices. I thought they were tremendous. They were so authentic and lifelike. The next thing is the potential for tools like this in an apps like Be My AI, like Be My Eyes. I am thinking of potentials with things like scene and image recognition. The fact that this is interactive, so this is not just a one-way conversation. This is interactive. I'm hugely impressed by this.
Yeah,
I know it's quite new technology, and we're going to be finding out more in time, but certainly I think there's great potential here with this ChatGPT-4.
Yeah, I've got a GPT-4o tab in my app now, in my ChatGPT app, but I haven't noticed any new functionality to it when I tried it just before the podcast. But there you go. It's an interesting one, and one we'll be keeping an eye on as technology develops. This technology is always moving forward, never staying still. Mairead, other news there. Firstly, what are your thoughts on that OpenAI piece there? What are your initial thoughts on it?
I think it's really cool. I think it could be really, maybe useful for even maybe describing a photograph or something, what kind of image it would give of it. You could probably ask questions about the photo as well, and it would give you more answers. Or maybe actually I'd love if it would actually help you to take a photo. So if you could actually use that maybe it would tell you maybe tilt it left or move it right, and to ask you loads of questions like what do you want to take the photo of, and give you guidance to actually take the photo. And then it could tell you maybe after, give you a description of the image that you just took. That's what I would love.
Yeah,
that jumps out at me from it, David, would be as a navigational tool, because it would nearly talk you through your journey, wouldn't it?
In theory, and this was kind of my thinking to an extent as well, Brian, is like if you integrated this, like Edvard in one of our voice notes earlier was talking about the smart glasses. Like if you had these on smart glasses and you were just getting a conversational description in your ear, I can see huge potential in that in many respects. Like if you go into, like I think like, years ago you would go into, and they're closed now, but those Argos stores, and all of the information about collecting your order will be up on a big screen somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A lot of the fast food restaurants are like this as well. And just being able to have maybe this device can tell you when it sees your number and stuff. I think that stuff is so cool, but who knows? Time will tell. Interesting tech for sure. But Mairead, on the other news fronts, Amazon coming to Ireland. Are you excited for it?
Definitely, because I've kind of noticed ever since Brexit, really, a lot of sellers aren't delivering to Ireland anymore on the UK one. So, and then sometimes you don't know if you're going to be hit with custom charges, or whereas this way, hopefully you'd get, same day delivery as well, and you'd have definitely a bigger selection of products to choose from, I think. So I think it can only be a good thing.
Hopefully. And I hope that nothing on the .ie site will be saying, oh, we can't ship this to your area. That bugs me like no end. But there you go. Hopefully not on Amazon.ie. Time shall tell. And then finally, that story there. What are your thoughts on that whole Sonos chaos? People are not happy. Do you have Sonos speakers yourself?
I don't have them, but I know of other, visually impaired people who would have used them in the past, and they've always been noted for accessibility. And now, I suppose, especially if a lot of people, would have invested a lot of money into speakers, and they might have multiple sets of speakers around their house and want to play music to different speakers around the house as a group and all that kind of thing. I mean, you can only get away with not updating an app for so long before the device will probably become unusable. So, I mean, if it's not going to be accessible for people, it's a lot of money that people would have spent, and to have to get another new product again, it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't, be allowed to happen, really. I think they'll have to make it accessible.
Yeah, you would think David, so. Joe, do you
David,
want to hop in there? Yeah.
Just to let you know, there, this week, May the 14th, Sonos are having a Sonos Community AMA event. I'm not sure exactly what AMA stands for, but
ask me anything.
The developers of the app will be looking for feedback of what people think of the new app, and they're saying that they're building it from the ground up again, but they have simply forgotten about accessibility in the build. So anybody with a vision impairment or that are blind that use VoiceOver or any other accessibility tools with their mobile apps are and invited to join this event and give their feedback. So just to let people know, that's on this Thursday. I think it's Thursday the 14th.
Yeah, that's this evening, Joe.
Or this evening, actually. Yeah, today is the 14th. Sorry, yeah, this evening. So anybody who's interested can join that event and send in your emails or your chats to that event, and that's what they're looking for, is feedback.
There you go. And I think it's definitely one worth talking about. We do have two Sonos speakers at home. I think we've got the Play Ones, and we've only really ever used them with AirPlay, so this won't massively affect us outside of updating the devices and stuff. But I know our boss, Kyron, is a massive Sonos fan. So I don't think he is going to be happy here at all. But there you go. We will have to wait and see, and hopefully Sonos can do the right thing on this one. But there you go. Let us know your thoughts. Do you have Sonos devices? We would be really interested to hear your perspective. And are you going to try put up with some of the things in the new app, or are you going to try, hold out, wait? Would you be willing to replace your Sonos speakers on a point of principle? Be really interesting to hear. And also, what are your thoughts on GPT-4o? How do you see yourself using it when it's more widely available? Please do get in touch. 086 199 0011. But now it's Quick Picks time.
It's time for VI Labs Quick Picks.
And to talk to us through our quick picks today, we are joined by Mairead, who is telling us about a really cool feature that was recently introduced in JAWS. Mairead, a big feature for those with Braille displays, certainly those with a large number of cells, like 80-cell Braille displays. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so it's a split Braille view is what it's called, and it's in JAWS 24. And what it allows you to do is basically split the whatever you're working on into two, like it'll split it into two different sides of your Braille display. So it's really beneficial, I guess, if you have a 40-cell Braille display or 80-cell Braille display relay, because so say, for example, if you had a Word document open and you're working on a research project, you could, rather than switching between the two different applications, we'll say at the left side of your Braille display you'd have the Word document, and the other side you could have the other document that you're working on, so maybe an Excel sheet or something. So it just makes navigation easier and things, because you're not switching between multiple devices and going back and forth between two different documents. And so it is really beneficial for people with, like, as I say, the larger Braille displays, because unfortunately if you use it on a 14 Braille cell display, you'd have 7 cells at each line, at each side, really. So you'd have like your 7 cells at the left, which could be the Word document you're working on, and the 7 cells on the right, which could be an Excel sheet, which, it wouldn't give you much room to read. So the larger devices, it would be more beneficial for, probably from 40 cell up, really.
Do you see yourself using this feature? How do you see yourself benefiting from it?
I would I would see it would be useful, especially if you're working, if you were working on the help desk, it would say if you had the help desk open on your Braille display, and you had maybe the notes app open on your Braille display as well. If you're writing down notes, you could just have each one at each side of the Braille display rather than having to navigate between each of them. But yeah, no, it's definitely something I will look into once I must get upgraded to JAWS 24 for that.
Colin Kenny, are you listening? Yeah, but there you go. It is a really cool feature, and worth saying that, as Mairead hinted there, it's only available for JAWS 24 devices right now. You need to have the latest version of JAWS, but it does go to show, we can think sometimes that, JAWS, it's been the same for the last 5 years, but they do continuously add a lot of really cool features. So there you go. Mairead, thank you so much for talking to us about that, and thank you so much for joining us on Talking Technology today. And that, folks, is about our show. Thank you so much for listening. If you do want to get in touch with us, please do. Send us an email, content@vi.ie, or send us a WhatsApp voice note. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. But for now, that is our show. Be sure to subscribe across all the podcast apps, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of those. And also be sure to subscribe to us over on YouTube. We hit 300 subscribers on YouTube this morning, which we were really delighted about. So be sure to go over and subscribe. The next milestone's 500 now. So we're, we'll keep climbing that ladder. So please do head over and subscribe. Just go to YouTube and search for the Accessible Technology channel. Remember, that event is happening tomorrow in UL. If you want to head over to meet with the Vision Ireland team, they'll be over there. But for now, that's our podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back really soon with another episode of Talking Technology. And have a good rest of your day. And hey, the team upstairs, they stayed quiet throughout the whole podcast. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Technology podcast with VI Labs. If you'd like to support our show, please visit vi.ie/donate. Talking Technology is proudly sponsored by IA Labs, the market leader in digital accessibility services. IA Labs, digital inclusion, your legal obligation.